All right, we're now in the Dvar Malchut of the Rebbe, and we're almost finished. Well, so the Rebbe is linking this Shabbat, which is the Shabbat when we read about the splitting of the sea, and the Jewish people sang a song that it falls on. In this Shabbat, it falls is Yud Shvat, but it always falls in the proximity of Yud Shvat. And what's the connection between them? And the Rebbe stresses over here the number 11. The number 11. This 11 rides on top is the number one. And we have to reveal godliness, that's the number one in the 10 Sfirot, and the 10 commandments, and the 10 utterances that the world was created from. In the previous Rebbe, he passed away in the 10th day, but it was the 11th month. That's the 10th day of the 11th month. And the Rebbe, he took over the next year, so that meant it was the 11th day of the 11th month. Shvat is the 11th month. 11th day of the 11th month. And the year that the Rebbe took over was Tafshin Yud Aleph. And it was 5,711 years after the creation of the world. That's the Hebrew date. It says, all this especially is in our generation. In other words, the Rebbe took over on the 11th day of the 11th month of the 11th year, Tafshin Yud Aleph, 11th year. So the number 11, says the Rebbe, that indicates the godliness, which is the job of the Jewish people to reveal in the creation, which is created by 10 utterances, and in the Torah, which has 10 commandments, and in even all the spiritual worlds, which that's the 10 Sfirot. That's the number 11. So this is especially now in our generation. The 10th day of the month, one second, let me get my point over here again. The 10th day of the 11th, the 10th day of the 11th month. In our generation, this is the day of the passing away of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. Now remember this, the Rebbe is giving this speech. This is shortly before he had a stroke, which made it impossible for him to really function, to speak also in the way that he was doing before. Shabo Nasid Ha'aliyah, there is, when a tzaddik passes away, so it says that it makes an elevation, it reveals all of the deeds that he has done in his whole life. The whole life. Again, we have to put this in the proper context. According to Judaism, the soul never dies. It never dies. So you can say on one hand, life is very short, but on the other hand, life is infinitely long. The soul never dies. So the soul is put into different bodies. But the reason the soul is put into bodies is ideally to stay in a body. It's supposed to stay here in this world. That's going to be the idea of the raising of the dead. So the body really is more important than the soul. The body is more important than the soul. The good deeds that we do in this world, that's the real reason why God created the whole world, so that there would be a world that we could do good deeds in. And when we do this, it elevates the world. It brings to something which we can't imagine. We can't understand. I mean, we can understand that after a person dies, he goes to heaven. So it stays there. It says, but that's not the fact. That's not the most important. After a person is in heaven, he comes into the world. That's the most important. That's the afterlife. The true afterlife is when we're in this world. It's after the life of heaven. We're here. So if heaven is good, the things that we do in this world are infinitely more good. So especially a tzaddik is a person that realizes this. He feels it. He feels the infinite importance of this physical world, that it's infinitely greater than all the heavens. And therefore he does everything possible to make this world into a permanently infinite place, meaningful place, every detail in it. So in the time when since Adam ate from the tree, so God declared that people die. That's the way it goes. People die. So, but that's just a temporary thing that people die. Eventually it won't be that way anymore. So truth is only realized in those times when we're in our body. That's the truth. We don't feel that truth. That's why the going to heaven is called Olam HaEmet. It's called the world of truth, because we see that in fact this world is more valuable than the heavens. We see the results of our deeds in this world, and the soul would like to go back into the world, even though the world is a dangerous place. It says, but in the time that a person, the good deeds that a person does in this world, is those things are eternal. To some degree, this is relating to everyone, in Jew, non-Jew. So it says, so this generation says, so the date that a person does pass away, all of the deeds that he did in this world receive a tremendous elevation, beginning from the elevation. So this year is the elevation of the previous Rebbe, previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, and by means of him, the whole entire generation, because he was just the head of all the Jewish people. So when he's elevated, so all Jewish people are elevated. Like it's stressed in the rest of the days, we have the 10th day, and then after that comes the 11th day, and the Rebbe went into a whole explanation about it. What's number 12? What's the number 13? So this is especially stressed in when the 10th day of Shvat falls on Wednesday. This year it falls on Shabbat. Okay, so it ends up. Okay, let's just with this give the completion. The main completion is made on the 10th and the 11th of the 11th month in this year. This is the year which is 42 years after the previous Rebbe passed away. So the Rebbe is now celebrating the 42nd year of his leadership of Chabad. And Chabad is the only movement in the world which is dedicated totally and solely to bringing Moshiach. And Moshiach is the answer and the goal of all the world's problems. The answer to the whole creation of all the world's problems, and the reason why there's problems in the world is that we should transform these bad things into good things. By means of it is made all the things, and we can elevate anything in the world. That's that 42 years that corresponds to the 42 journeys that the Jewish people took in the desert. And in this, says the Rebbe, okay, now I want to tell you, so the Rebbe says, I want to inform you something. We've already finished all of the elevations of the 42 days. I'm sorry. All of the 42 days from the passing away of the previous Rebbe, the 42, and all of the elevations by all of our deeds in these 42 years, including the elevation which says that a pupil attains the maturity of and the understanding of his rabbi after 40 years after he's taught. It takes 40 years for things to really sink in. That this is similar to the 42 journeys in the desert that the Jews took back then and that we're taking now. We are the last generation, says the Rebbe, of exile. We're the first generation of the redemption. Immediately, we'll be going into the land of Israel, the wide land, in the GEULA Mitzvah Shlema. One of the goals of Judaism is that Moshiach will arouse all the Jews, wake up their Jewish souls, and then all the Jews he'll build the holy temple in Israel, and all the Jews will automatically want to go to Israel in order to be able to do all the commandments. And that then there'll be the completion, revelation of the oneness of God, the true oneness of God, which is over the 10 sphirot and over the 10 utterances why God created the world. Then the oneness of God, that's the 11, will be revealed. What should we actually do? What does the Rebbe say? What's the Rebbe getting at? What should we do? We have to add and we have to complete everything which is relevant to the day of the passing of the Rebbe. We have to learn Torah in a way of Asara Yoshvim Vaskim Torah. Make groups to learn Torah. Make groups to learn Torah. Best, let's say, between Mincha and Merav, a lot of places they have a rabbi and he teaches everybody. Right? As a class, a short class, a half an hour. After another thing is Halicha B'Dorachav, to act in the ways that the Rebbe wanted us to, namely spreading out Torah. and spreading out the ideas of Chassidut. If you have never learned Chassidut before, find a rabbi, find a place you have online. You can learn Maimorim discourses and Tanya and all the other thousands of books that there are in Chabad on the topic of Chassidut, especially the the forbringers which were made by the previous Rebbe and by the Rebbe on the day of this on Yud Shvat. And you should learn these with simcha and shira, in joy and in happiness. You should be happy that you're alive, happy that you're a Jew. You should be happy that you can serve the Creator, happy that you can understand more and more, and then more than that, by learning the ideas of Hasidut, even though that they're very deep, but they're very happy. They're very happy ideas. It might take a little bit of time to understand them, but the ideas are in Hasidut are meant to be taken to heart into your personal day-to-day life. It's not just ideas in Kabbalah that are very, how do you say, esoteric and very distant, and you can, impress your friends, impress yourself that you know all these deep ideas and the 10 Sfirot and before the Tzimtzum. Those are wonderful things. But the main thing is that it's supposed to make you happy. It makes you happy that every moment, and grateful to God that you're alive and that you can serve God. And you're happy to see another Jew, you're happy to see another person, you're happy to be in the world. That's ideally the idea. And this is the giving of power, and especially happy to serve God, to do the commandments, to learn the Torah. That's the main thing of Shabbat. That Shabbat is made the completion of the passing away of the Rebbe. That's why it's called Shabbat Shira. It's called a Shabbat of song. And song means elevation. That you lift yourself up to something higher than yourself. And so okay. So what are we supposed to do? Add on in learning Torah, and add on in doing the commandments. Add on, learn something about the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. What was his teaching? What was his goal in life? To activate every Jew and to make more active Jews that already think that they've been activated totally. To do Torah, to be happy in Torah, to learn, do the commandments, to be happy doing the commandments, and to encourage others to do as well. Another teaching, a very essential teaching regarding the song, regarding the service of prayer. That Nikras Gam Lashon Rina. Song is also called Rina. Another word for song. Rina, Shira, Zimra. And what of song? What does it mean? Like it's known, the first Rebbe of Chabad, when he would pray, when he would pray with a song all the time. The first Rebbe of Chabad, he would pray with a song, and when he would talk to others, he would talk also in a song way. What do I mean? Example. Right? It would speak in a singing way. And the same thing is when you pray. If you translate the words of prayer that you're saying, you can come to sing them a little bit. You can come to sing. It arouses in you a desire not to just to say the words, but you're singing to God. Therefore, you have to have right now, says the Rebbe, after finishing all of the elevations, you have to have a song because of the. Okay, so what happens after you've already elevated yourself to the ultimate? So then there's another type of a song, like it says Shir Chadash. Then it's a song not that we sing to God, we sing because we're elevated and inspired. This is God's song. God, so to speak, sings to us. We're singing about what God gives us. That's going to be the new song in the future. The new song. All songs up to now, our harmony comes from our inspiration. It says in the future, it's going to be from God is going to do all the inspiring. It's going to be a masculine shir. It's a shir chadash. And especially regarding to the prayer, the tefillah, to the prayers about GEULA mitit v'shlema, praying for a true, complete redemption. And especially after, says the Rebbe, it says in the Talmud that all of the projected times for Moshiach to come have already passed. Nishalmu kol an avoda, says the Rebbe, we finished everything we have to finish. like the previous Rebbe said, that in addition to the fact, the feeling, the kosef, and the desire, and the longing for the redemption that we had up to now we have to also mainly joy from the fact that the redemption is coming immediately. But Rega Zu Mamash, it should be here any second now. No. Okay, so what is the Rebbe saying? Don't worry. That's what the Rebbe is saying. Don't worry. You look with your eyes and you don't see any sort of a redemption coming. You don't see anything clear. Bad things are happening. But on the other hand, if you look only at the good things, you forget about the bad things. If you look at the good things, then you can see that the situation that we're in now is incomparable to any of the situations the Jews have ever been before as far as being good. As far as being good. Eliminate the bad things. Bad things are easy to see. Bad things are easy to see. And especially there's tragedies that occur. Those are easy to see. Let's try to look only at the good things. Here, number one, we Jews have the land of Israel. Number two, Jews can do commandments wherever they want to in the world. There's no place in the world that stops Jews from doing commandments. Even in Iran and places like that, terrible places where Jews are, and nevertheless, they're free to do commandments. There might be slight restrictions. I mean, there's anti-Semitism and things like that, but Jews can do commandments. We're living in the land of Israel. I mean, true, there's a lot to be desired, But the fact is, we are living in the land of Israel, right? It's not according to the way that Hashem wants Jews to be. Like we said, the ideal is that all of the Jews are supposed to be doing Torah and the commandments, and only the Moshiach is going to do that. And Moshiach is going to build the temple, and that'll make it happen. So we don't have the temple, and we don't have all the Jews doing the commandments. We don't have that. Yes, but on the other hand, we are in the land of Israel, right? We're here. And it certainly is better than being, it was the only place that the Jews could run to after in World War II. They could, all the other countries closed their doors. And in Eretz Israel, I mean, I live in Eretz Israel, but despite what you read in the newspapers, etc., they've shot at us. I know I've said it so many times before, but I can't understand why they're not making a big deal out of this. Our enemies, since October 7th, the Hezbollah and others have shot more than 25,000 missiles at us, and there's been almost no damage. There's been almost no loss of life. True, there has been loss of life, but 25, what I read, it was 26,000, and that was like 2 weeks ago. 26,000 missiles of various types they shot into Israel. Do you know what that means? And God is protecting us from all these. It's unheard of. Just unheard of. And we're sitting here, there's electricity, and there's, the people are driving on the streets and stores are open. Amazing. I mean, if you look at it even more practically, we have in Israel maybe the worst leaders in the world. The worst leaders in the world. Any other country, they got one missile shot at them, they would immediately wipe out their enemy. No, not us. We have to be nice guys. We have to worry about the United Nations. They would wipe them out totally with the worst leaders. And despite that, here we are. We have food here. We have water. We have houses. Making bar mitzvahs, making weddings, making this. I'm not trying to downplay the tragedies, but the tragedies are bad enough. They shouldn't conceal what is good. And not only that, the main thing is we have the promises of the Rebbe that any second now, man is going to return to his senses and human beings will be what they're supposed to be. I think it's beginning in America now. I mean, they got to the lowest levels of decadence and degradation and self-destruction with all these woke stuff and all this crazy. I mean, it's just they were teaching the children to destroy themselves. Right? I mean, and the same thing was with the Hamas, to teach the children to kill themselves. That's why I think that the leftists in America like the Hamas. And this Trump is standing up and he says, let's put a stop to this. You have to say it's simply insane. Is Trump good? Is he not good? One thing for sure, if you ask me, he's not bad. At least he hasn't revealed it now. He's getting rid of all this insanity with this education and the sexual obsessions. You have to be this type of a sexual, this type of a sexual, and this type of, you have to identify, I'm 50 genders and 30 genders. And he's putting a stop to it. So it seems that this is becoming more clear, that it's becoming defined that a human being is not whatever he wants to be. There's some higher power, absolute truth that's involved here, and it's being revealed. And I think that's the good that's being revealed now. Okay, we can also add another thing that we should make for bringers in every place. All, not just in the 10th day of Shvat, but also on the 15th day of Shvat. Tu B'Shvat, that's the day, it's called the New Year's Day for trees. It's the New Year's Day for trees. This is especially connected to man, because you are called man. The Jewish people especially are called man, and because man is called man because Adameh le'elyon. He is similar to God, and a man is called Amarim is Eitz Hasadeh. A man is called the tree of the field. Right? So it's a sense is okay. Anyway, the Torah says man is the tree of the field. Even though there in the Torah it says, "Is a man the tree of the field?" If you lay siege to a city, you can tear down the trees, but not fruit trees. It says why? Because you're laying siege to a city to kill people, not to kill trees, right? Trees aren't people. Trees, that's what it means. Adam Eitz Hasadeh, but it's taken out of context, and the words are meaningful. A man is like the tree of a field. How, especially the fruits, the trees which are in the land of Israel, and especially the trees which bear the special fruits of Israel. Israel is called that's with figs and pomegranates and dates and olives and grapes. You are called Eretz Chayfetz. The Jewish people are called a desirous land. There is in every single Jew, men, women, and children, all of the details of the land of, it says, wheat and barley, grapes and figs and pomegranates, olives and dates. In every Jew, there's all these. The 5 of them are obvious fruits, and the other 2 are grains that we use for. Those are the grains, the fruits that the land of Israel is praised with. That's Tu B'Shvat. That comes 5 days after Yud Shvat. That's the Yom Rosh Hashanah. That's the New Year's Day for trees. There has to be an additional newness, an additional novelty in serving God. You have to increase something by every single Jew, each one according to his way. 15th day of Shvat. So the 10th day of Shvat is teaching us is the day which inspires us to serve God more as far as Moshiach and GEULA is concerned. And Tu B'Shvat is a day that should inspire us that each and every one of us should grow more and be more productive, more fruitful. Certainly you'll use make a forbringing on Tu B'Shvat in order to explain and to arouse the novelty of this serving God in a way of being productive and fruitful, including to arouse a desire and a longing, and until it becomes a longing in a way of happiness, because you know that immediately we're all going to come to the land of Israel, and everyone will come to the land of Israel and eat from its fruits, and to be satisfied from its bounty, and to do all the commandments which are the land of Israel is depending on. In completion, like it says, may it be God's will, and this is the main thing, that before the 15th day of Shvat, that's next week. Thursday, right? Thursday. Let me check this out again. Next week on Thursday is Shvat, right? Let me check this out here. Here we go. Yes, Thursday. That's what I said. Thursday. Wednesday night. Wednesday night begins Tu B'Shvat. That's next week. So it says, in addition to the fact that every Jew, and I mean, from that, the whole world will learn, but every Jew is called a tree, a fruitful tree, but also Moshiach is called a growth, like it says, Ish Tzemach Shemo. A man and his name will be Tzemach. The Moshiach will be Tzemach. A plant growing up. And Allah, it says, V'kam Shevet b'Yisrael. There will raise up a branch in the Jewish people. And so one of the prophecies of Bilam, Bilam said there will be a branch that's a king. Also a shevet also means a staff. It'll be a king that will rule like with a staff, and will come choter migeza ishai. It's a sentence from Isaiah, right? Isaiah, yes. There will come a branch from Yishai, and there will stand a king from the house of King David, and he'll fight the battles of God against Amalek. That's the end of this week's Torah portion. And he'll build the holy temple in its place. That's what Maimonides says. Beit Bechira. Simply what it means, that immediately, now, actually, before we come to the day of the 11th day of the 12th, of the 11th month, in the year, what's this? In the year, the 42nd year, when the Rebbe was speaking, it was 42 years from the previous Rebbe's passing away. We will call all the Jewish people, the youth, the elders, our sons, our daughters. We will come from this terrible desert that we've been in for the last 2,000 years, Midbar Amim, just like the Jews came out of the desert after wandering 40 years. And they'll come to our land, our holy land, to Jerusalem, our holy city, to the holy temple. And since that God will gather again, he'll raise up his hand again and gather all the scattered Jews from all over the world. Then we will sing, and we will make known a song which will be inspired purely by God. Like the song that when they went over the sea just now, but that song came from the Jews. In the future, it's going to be a song that's feminine. Not, the song the Jews sang after they went over the sea is feminine. And in the future, it's going to be a masculine. What does it mean? Our mouths will be filled with joy. Like it's hinted at the two names, the two names of the leader of our generation, the Moshiach of our generation, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, whose name was Yosef, means to add on and to gather, and Yitzchak means to be happy, joy. With language of the Torah, it says, Shirat Hayom, Tave'emo v'sita'emo b'har nechalatcha. Said God, you will bring us and plant us in the mountain of the portion, namely Jerusalem. Mikdash Hashem konan yadecha, the holy temple of God, God himself will make. We said this before. It says also in the Gemara and the Tosfos and other places that the third temple will come from heaven. The third temple will come. It's already ready. It's already prepared. It's already standing, and it'll come down from heaven. And then Yimloch L'olam, then God will rule forever. Hashem will rule the whole entire world. Because what does it mean? That the laws of nature will be in. I'm sorry. That the laws of nature will demonstrate that God is creating them. That God's creating the whole world. That God is creating the whole world, and that the laws of nature come from God. They don't come from nature. That's what it means. God will rule forever. That everything we see in the world, we'll see that it's an amazing gift and miracle of God in order to inspire us to serve him. That's why he gave the Torah, in order to know how to repay God for this good that he's giving us. He's creating us, he's creating the world. Next week, we're going to learn about the giving of the Torah. It says, that God spoke all of these words to say. What does it mean to say? That we should say over the words of Torah. Completion of the giving of the Torah. That's the 11th, like we said before, 11 days from Chorev. Chorev is Mount Sinai. That will be revealed a new Torah from me. Like we said before, that will feel the godliness in every word, in every commandment, and every syllable, in every sentence, and every idea of the Torah. Will feel that it's coming from the same God who's creating us. And it's the reason why he's creating us. It'll give us an increased life. That's what it means, a new Torah. That the Torah, it won't be a thing that can be misinterpreted, the Torah. The Torah will not be able to be misinterpreted anymore. The true interpretation of the Torah, as it says in the Talmud, is that it will be accepted by everyone. Everyone will see that that's the word of God. That's why we're waiting for Moshiach. And the Rebbe said he's long overdue, but for sure, without any, with certainly, Moshiach is going to come. And he should have come a long time ago. And that doesn't mean that he missed the bus and that he's never going to come. It means that Moshiach is supposed to come any second now. And why it's taking so long is completely incomprehensible to us. But what we do know is we have to act as though Mashiach is here, that the world is a good place, and we have to make it even better. And we have to think positively and speak positively and act positively, and that will be the vessel to be in tune with Mashiach now. All right, let's do the Yom Yom.